Hello all, let's work on some trigonometry problems. First of all, we need to apply trigonometric ratios on right angle triangles. We have here the three ratios we are going to work with. Sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan theta is opposite over adjacent. Let's start checking the steps of solving. Steps of solving, first step is we are going to label all the sides of the right angle triangle. We will start with the hypotenuse. Then O is the side opposite to the angle given or the angle required. A is the adjacent, which is the third side to be labeled. Then we are going to start writing sohkahtua. After then, we are going to apply or we are going to take two sides. If it was case one, which we are going to discuss first, where I'm given one side, one angle, and the question is asking for a second side in the triangle. So we are going to take the given side and we are going to take the required side. If it was the second case where we are given two sides and the question is asking for an angle in the triangle, so we are going to take the two given sides. After then, we are going to decide which ratio should we use, sine, cosine, or tan, and we are going to start substitution. After then, we are going to solve the equation that we are going to have to find the unknown. Let's start working the first question in case one. Here we have in triangle PQR. Okay, it's a right angle triangle, and we're going to use trigonometry to calculate PR. PR here is this side, so we are going just to drop a question mark on PR. So this is the side that we are going to find its value. First of all, we are going to start following the steps. Step one, label. I'm going to label all the sides. One is going to be the hypotenuse, the second one is the opposite, and the third one is the adjacent. From the 90 degrees, I'm going to drop an arrow. So this side is going to be the hypotenuse. This side is a given side, so I'm going to circle it. Circle the value of the side and the letter beside the side. Okay, the second thing, I'm going to point from the given angle, which is here 35 degrees, and I'm going to label the opposite side with O. This side is side QR. I don't need this side. The side is not given in the question. So after then, you'll find that you are going to ignore this side completely. The last side is A, adjacent, and it's the side that I'm looking for. So actually, we are going to take these two sides, the hypotenuse and the adjacent in this case, or in this example. Step two, I will write sohkahtua. And then I'm going to do the ticks on the hypotenuse and the adjacent. So I'm going to tick each H letter, and I'm going to tick each A letter. I'll find that cosine ratio is going to work in this question. So in step three, I'm going to translate ka into cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Step four, I'm going to substitute theta, of course, is the angle. So I'm going to write cosine 35 equals the adjacent, which is PR, the unknown side, or the required side by the question, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 17.8. In step four, we did the substitution. In step five, we are going to just solve the equation. Solving the equation, as you all know, when I find that my unknown is in the numerator, so I will keep it at this side, and I'm going to get rid of the 17.8. I'm going to move 17.8 to the other side as multiplication, so I'm going to rewrite the equation in this form. 17.8 multiplied by cosine 35, this is going to give me PR. Drop this on the calculator, 17.5 multiplied by cosine 35, don't forget to close the bracket, you will get 14.3351 and so on, round your answer to 3SF. So the final answer is 14.3 centimeters. As I told you before, we have to check if the answer I got is somehow logic answer. Does it make sense? Here the hypotenuse is 17.8 centimeters. So I'm expecting a side that is less than the hypotenuse. So if I got an answer here which is more than 17.8, so 100% I did a mistake in the calculations. I have to repeat it. That's the final answer for this question. Let's see the second one. Calculate the length h. Here I'm given also side and angle as I told you at the beginning. So we are going to start labeling, which is the step number 1. This side is the hypotenuse. My angle now, the given one here is 15 degrees. So this side is O. I'm going to circle the H with the value and circle the O, which is the side I'm looking for. And the last side is the adjacent. Here, the adjacent is not given. The adjacent is not required. So I'm going to ignore this side completely. After labeling, I'm going to write Sohgatwa. By more practice, by solving more than like 20 questions, you are going to find that once you just circle the letters, you are going just to recognize OH, it's so it's sign. I'm going to take each O and each A and each H. So I'm going to take the O, H, H, and O. I'll find that so is going to work, which means sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. This is the ratio that would work here to find the missing side. Start substitution. The angle here is 15. Sine 15 equals, the opposite here is labeled as H, and the hypotenuse is 628. As the last example, what should we do with the 628? We will move it to the other side as multiplication. So the final answer, or actually this line should be written, typed on the calculator. So 628 multiplied by sine 15, you'll get an answer which is 162.5 or 0.538 and so on. You can just round your answer to 3SF. So the final answer is 163 meters. Let's see question 4. We have here also, we are given one side and one angle, and the question is asking about the side RT. So this side is the missing one. Let's start labeling the sides. This one is the hypotenuse. It's not given, it's not required, so I will ignore the hypotenuse in this case. 53 here, so this side is the opposite. I'm going to circle it. This side is the given one, and the last side here is the adjacent, which is the required one. So I'm going to write Sohgatwa, and then I'm going to take the two sides that I need them in the ratio. So I'll take O and A. I'll find that 2, which means tan is going to work. Tan theta is opposite over adjacent. Theta here is 53 equals, the opposite side now is 14, and the unknown is A, the adjacent here is RT. In this case, my unknown is in the denominator. So what should I do in this case? The unknown must be in the numerator while solving and should be kept alone at one side. Whenever you find the unknown is in the denominator, you are going to just switch it with everything found at the other side. So I'm going to switch RT with tan 53, which means I'm going to write RT equals 14 over tan 53. So when would I do this? Whenever I find the unknown is in the denominator, so I'll switch it with everything found at the other side. On the calculator, I'm going to type 14 divide tan 53, close the bracket, please. So you will get 10.549, which is 10.5 centimeter. Let's see the second case. In the second case, I'll be given two sides, and the question is going to ask me for a missing angle in the right angle triangle. Let's see the first question. Here I have a right angle triangle where I'm given this side 18 centimeter and this one is 30 centimeter. And the question is just asking me to show that the value of x is 36.9, correct, 1 decimal place. When the question asks you to show that, which means I'm going to prove that the angle is 36.9 after rounding its value to 1 decimal place, this means I'm going to work out all the steps, and after then I have to reach this answer. Do not use this value in working out the question. Please just do the steps, ignore the value currently. Whenever you are done with all the steps and you get the value of the angle, you are going to check if it's 36.9 after rounding to 1 decimal place. So this means that you got the 2 marks here of this question. Let's start working. Step 1, as you know, I'm going to start labeling the triangle. So this side is the hypotenuse. This side is the opposite, and the last one is the adjacent. So here, in this case, I already know that I'm given two sides. So in this case, I'm going to tick or to circle the two given sides, not like in the first case. In case one, I was given one side, one angle, and another side is required. So I was ticking the required side and the given one. In the second case, where the angle is missing, I'll be ticking the two given sides in the question. Okay, let's start writing. So, Gatwa, and then I'll tick O and H, and I'll find that So is having the most ticks, so I'm going to use sine. Sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, theta is the angle, which is here, the missing one. So I'm going just to replace theta with x equals O, which is 18 over 30. Till here, we are working exactly as the first case. We substituted, but the final step, we need to separate the sine from the x. We need to know the value of the angle itself. So we are going to use the inverse ratios. If I want to move this sine to the other side, I want to break the one between the sine and the x. I'm going to move sine to the other side with the inverse sign. On the calculator, you're going to check the button sign and then sine, cosine, and tan. You will find that it's written in yellow or orange. Just on top of these buttons, sine power -1, cosine power -1, tan power -1. These are the inverse operations for, or the inverse ratios. So simply to access any of these inverse ratios, I have to click on Shift first. So we are going to write this step. Sine, or x, is inverse sine of 18 over 30. And then on the calculator, we are going to press on Shift, then sine. You'll find sine power -1 is already written on the calculator, and then you will just type the fraction, 18 over 30. Don't forget to close the bracket, and you will get an answer of x is 36.8698, and so on. If I rounded my answer to the first decimal place as the question mentioned, I'm going to get 36.9. By then, I got the 2 marks. Let's see another question. Here in question 14, also I'm given 2 sides, and the question is asking for an angle. I'm going to label H. O, opposite here, also is opposite to the required angle, not the other one. I'm ignoring the other acute angle in the triangle here, which is at the top. And here, this is A. I'm going to circle the 2 given sides with the letters I just wrote, O and H. So, katwa, of course, I'm going to use the so, which is sine, which means sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine P equals 8 is the opposite over the hypotenuse, which is 15. As what I just said, we are going to break the bond between the sine, between the ratio and the angle by getting the inverse of the ratio. So this means in P equals inverse sine 8 over 15. On the calculator, shift sine and just type 8 over 15, close the bracket. You will get 32.2 rounded to 1 decimal place. Am I expecting any kind of obtuse angles here in these questions? Of course not. We're applying trigonometry in this year on right angle triangles only. Next year, inshallah, we are going to use different ratios. But simply, we are going just to make sure. I have to test my answer. If my answer is less than 90, so I'm in the safe side, most probably my question or my answer was correct. Let's see here. Calculate angle DFE. So he needs this angle. So I'm going just to mention it or to label it angle X or angle theta. And then I'm going to label the side, hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. You can recognize that we are going to work with so, which is sine. Apply the same. We are going to work out the same step till we reach in X, or theta is inverse sine. 52, which is the O over 223. So on the calculator, also shift sine, 52 divide 223, close the bracket, and then I'll get 13.5 degrees. Question 16, the last question. Here, I'm going also to apply the same. X is here. Label the sides, hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. Here, O and A are involved, so I'm going to use the 2, which means tan. So tan x equals the opposite over the adjacent. Take care, please, because most of the mistakes here that you just drop the A over O. Make sure that you are typing the correct ratio. So 10x is 1.8, the opposite over the adjacent 1.75. And then break the bond between the tan and the x, move the tan to the other side with inverse tan, which is shift tan on the calculator of this ratio. So I'll type shift tan 1.8 over 1.75, and I'll get 45.8 degrees. Thank you so much for watching the video. Give me your feedback, please, in the comments. See you in another video. Bye-bye.